Welcome to the documentary of John Ford and John Sayles. Here, we will be looking at John Ford's two films, Stagecoach from 1939 and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance from 1962. We will be also looking at the film Lone Star from 1996, directed by John Sayles. Now, let's begin. First, we will be looking at Stagecoach. Stagecoach is the story of Dallas, a prostitute, Doc Boone, an alcoholic, Hatfield, a wealthy Southern gentleman gambler, Lucy Mallory, a rich pregnant wife looking to find her husband, a corrupt banker, Henry Gatewood, and a whiskey salesman, Samuel Peacock. They are all riding upon a stagecoach driven by Buck, and when Marshal Curley is told the fugitive Ringo Kid is in the area, he decides to join. They find Ringo and arrest him, and as they stop for a break in Dry Fork, Mrs. Mallory has her baby. Soon after, Ringo realizes that he has fallen in love with Dallas and he proposes to her. She is hesitant to react, and from there, the action and adventure really begins to unfold. Hi, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well today.
Today we're going to be asking you about the huge success you've had this year with Stagecoach. First question, what gave you the inspiration for your direction in this film?
Well, I thought that I wanted to make a different sort of film. Nobody was making westerns at the time, and I saw it with a burst of a new genre in film. I wanted to go back to something old. I wanted to go back to my roots. I hadn't done anything of the sort since I was making silent films.
I see. This film was regarded as a Western film and the film that brought the Western genre back. Do you agree, and what do you think about this?
Well, I see and I understand how it was my first western film. I wanted to try something different. I did not really understand the success that would come from a movie like this, but I expected something would come from it since I put so much money into this film. And 1939 being such an affluent year in film, I knew it would be quite a hit.
Yes, it indeed was. Congratulations. How did you prepare and create the artistic side and the angles of this film?
Well, I did not really think much about the movie. I like to wait until the filming starts to see what fits and what does not fit. If it is unfitting to what I want, it will not be put into the film. A lot of the art in the scenery came not from me, but from the natural beauty of the Utah Monument Valley itself. My personal favorite scene to have been shot was the fight scene against the Apache Indians. It was completely supported by the background, and I loved how the cameras followed the fight so closely, and it came out very pretty.
We all agreed that the fight scene was one of the best scenes in the film, so Stagecoach had a lot of corrupt and shady characters. Why did you incorporate them into the film?
I wanted to show what the real world is like. In the real world, there are all sorts of things. There are bad things. There are bad sorts of people, prostitutes, fugitives, embezzlers, drunks, and whatnot. And this is exactly what I show in the film. And I wanted to highlight that just because people do bad things doesn't necessarily make them bad people. Like the characters Dallas and Ringo. They were both good people in bad situations.
Absolutely, and I want to congratulate you and thank you for sitting us down with us today.
No problem, no problem.
Next, we'll be looking at The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. At the beginning of the film, Ransom Stoddard returns to Shinbone. He is a well-loved senator who is revisiting the town because of the death of his old friend Tom Donovan. He wants to get in and out without being noticed, but he is cornered by a journalist and chooses to tell his story. Years before, he arrives in Shinbone, where he is found bruised, bloodied, and beaten by an awful man named Liberty Valance. With the help of Tom Donovan and the other town members, he recovers. His mission is to avenge what Liberty Valance did to him, with justice and law, but in Shinbone there is no law, and you need to have a gun by your side at all times. Ransom confronts Liberty in a duel, and it appears as if he killed him. Or did he? Hello, John. Thanks for sitting down with us again. It has been quite some time and things have changed greatly, but I would like to thank you for being here with us once again.
Hi, no problem. Thanks as well.
I would like to ask you questions this time of your newest film, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. How did you prepare for this film?
I just got ready. How else am I supposed to do it? I've made hundreds of movies, and this one was important, but it's one of those things that I do. You know, wake up, do the dishes, do the laundry, make a movie. It's all part of my everyday life.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What sort of artistic direction did you focus on for this film?
Well, I usually don't prepare much for my films, but when it comes to this film, I really put a lot of emphasis on the little things. They make a big difference to the audience. I have a story for you. Here it is. I was about to shoot a scene in a movie when I was told Edmund O'Brien was going to drop his hand over the railing. The damn bastard wouldn't do it. And it took him over 40 times till the shots finally looked right for him to get his damn arm drooping over the railing. So, those are the little things that are important in my shots.
Oh, yeah. That's a good story. So, you're a bit of a perfectionist?
I suppose so. But I'd like to say I just like to get it all right. Even though perfection is important to me, I don't think that I'm a perfectionist. I do lots of things wrong. Just in my films, I want every aspect to be the way that it should be, but not necessarily perfect, because I always receive criticism on my films. But you know I'm in my right mind, and that's all that really matters. Okay?
Yeah, so the plot of the story included a lot of twists and turns, and in the end, it is really unclear of who does what. So, why did you want the film to go in that sort of direction?
Well, I don't like absolutes, and I think that the audience should walk away from the theater with their own idea of what happened in the film. And they should have their own thoughts and interpret it in their own way.
All right, thanks again for taking the time to sit down with us.
It was my pleasure.
Next, we'll be looking at Lone Star. It begins in the desert where two off-duty soldiers find a partially buried skull. The sheriff, Sam Deeds, comes and believes that it could possibly be the skull of Charlie Wade, the sheriff from 40 years earlier. Sam thinks that his own father may have been the killer of Wade, so he decides to investigate the case. He then goes around to different people in the town, including two men, Hollis and Otis, and he also visits his ex-lover, Pilar Cruz. This has been the first time he had seen her because his father forbade him to see her years ago for what he thought was racial reasons. He eventually finds out the truth, but this is something totally different than what he expected. Hello, John. Thanks for sitting down with us today for this interview.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, Lone Star was an interesting and unique film for 1996. You sort of went back to the Western while staying with the mystery genre as well. And along with directing the film, you wrote it as well. What gave you the motivation for this film?
Well, like you said, it was a unique film. That's what I was going for. With all the crazy big budget films coming out all the time, I want to do something fresh and different. You know, corporate America just wants to create films that sucker the audience in with boobs and crashes and explosions. Like mind-numbing nonsense. I just wanted to make something that actually got the audience thinking.
Ha ha ha, yeah. I understand what you mean. Beyond simply trying to stay away from explosions and typical big-budget films, where did you draw your motivation from this film?
Well, I was mentored by Roger Corman, who specialized in B-type films, like Lone Star. A lot of my inspiration was drawn directly from his ideas. He made a lot of mystery and horror-type films. While my film doesn't have a lot of horror, it does have a clear aspect of mystery. His work was such an inspiration to me. I always draw it from him, and I think of writing and directing anything new because of him.
Wow, that's really great. So, where did your artistic inspiration come from for this film?
A lot of my angling work was done to benefit the interpretation of the film. Without that, this film would have not been as intense as it was. I needed to use those aspects of my filming to really highlight the different character personalities, such as Charlie Wade's character. I showed him in a negative light, or at a low angle, I mean at an angle from the bottom, to show his authority. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean. Anyways, we're about to wrap things up. Thanks for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
This is what it's like in Northern California. I know. You see Irvine students. You lucky.
They're all from SoCal.
Oh. What's up, broski? Brosif?
Brosif, Washington.
Brosif, Washington. Yeah, we're hella legit. We're from NorCal. Hella.
Yeah.
Bay Area represent Oakland. You know, the corporate America wants you to look at the sucker.
I know it was coming. That's why I started laughing. Okay, redo it.